Now, what also seems to be happening is that in this problem, as the child is developing, normally the brains develop at the same time and coordinate. They start to increase their speed. So essentially think of it that each year in development, both sides of our brain get an upgrade in our processing speed. So just imagine if each year we were getting an upgraded processing chip. And each year our brain could process faster and faster and coordinate more areas of the brain to work together. But what's happening in a functional disconnection is that one side of the brain is getting this upgrade and the other side is not getting as much of an upgrade as fast. So what would happen if you have a new computer and an old computer with completely different processing speeds? Both worked, but you put them together with wires and connected them. Could they work together and share information? And the answer is no. And you say, why? Well, it's purely because they have a different processing speed, not because they're broken, not because there aren't connections, but just simply the timing is too different. And that's what happens in our brain. We have one side of the brain that is slower than the other. It's not maturing at the same rate. It's not damaged or broken as far as we can tell. It just isn't maturing and growing that fast. And this creates an imbalance in processing speed that doesn't allow the brain to be able to coordinate and bring all these different areas together. Now, why would that happen? Why would one side of the brain develop at a slower rate than the other? Why wouldn't they both be slow? Well, because both sides of the brain don't normally develop at the same time. That the right side of the brain develops in the womb and for the first 2 to 3 years of life, and then the left side of the brain develops for the next 3 years. Then we get the right side of the brain again for the next 3 years, and back and forth every 2 or 3 years until we're adults as far as we can tell. So what we're seeing is that the problem is that environmental factors are impacting and affecting genes from turning on at specific stages of development. The genes that are most impacted are the ones that build connections in the brain and help the brain to grow and coordinate. If these environmental factors happen at a specific window of development, they will affect either the right side of the brain from developing in the first 2 to 3 years, or the left side from developing more than the right in the next 2 to 3 years. And this can lead to a specific imbalance physically and coordinatively, and this is what a functional disconnection is. But the makeup of that, what areas of the brain are growing too slow and what areas of the brain are growing faster, and superimposed on the child's natural abilities and traits. What we see in general is that the children that are most susceptible are the ones that are most gifted. If you look at the other siblings, and this has been documented, that children with autism, their siblings are usually off the chart with intelligence. Same thing in families with ADHD and OCD. If you see children that have dyslexia, what we see is their spatial intelligence is usually unbelievable. Their social intelligence and emotional intelligence is usually extremely high. And what we also see is that what we see in the children with their gifts is usually what we see in the parents. That children that have dyslexia and learning disabilities typically have parents that have extremely good right brain skills and are extreme right brain individuals. We see children with ADHD and autism and OCD and Tourette's, they're the opposite. The parents have extremely high left brain skills.